When we look at, kind of the other big thing that happened this week too, Misha, Facebook changing their name to Meta is pretty interesting. They did not get the Meta ticker, though. There is already a Metaverse ETF that has that. But it did kind of juice a lot of the excitement in terms of, I guess, company as large as Facebook chasing the opportunity in the Metaverse. Decentraland, one of those other tokens that's attached to their own kind of virtual reality, real estate kind of vibe, they also surged. I think it was 50% in a day when Facebook came out and said they're changing their name to Meta. But I mean, the big debate around that is who's going to win, and it's probably not just going to be one company running the show.
No, I definitely don't think it's going to be one company winning the show. It's even debatable if it's going to be one platform or base layer, because each of these metaverses could be wildly different with kind of what it looks like, how people interact, like what it takes to get in, what you can do in there. Kind of, is it just purely social entertainment? Is it a play to earn environment? Is it running on ETH or its own chain on a roll up? Kind of, they're going to be all over the place. So, but it is very exciting to see Facebook realize that it's not going to be just owned by one person. It's going to be owned by open systems that are like composable and portable. And they're making like these massive 10,000 person investments into Europe. They're just throwing immense amount of compute resources at it. And I think that everybody benefits from it.
Yeah, the interoperability piece, though, is pretty important, right? Because this is something that, I guess, as we kind of move farther and farther along in crypto, is that you can't just have one thing. You can't have, and this is where Web3 comes in, you can't just have one company kind of controlling their own thing. If you're going to want to wear something that you bought on one blockchain, you're going to want to wear it in the metaverse that's maybe supported by a different one, and how it all works together is going to be pretty tricky, I guess, to piece together. If you are a Facebook and you want to own everything, it's just not going to be possible.
Yeah, so it's really just about people trying to get a piece of the valuable meta state or metaverse real estate. So you have the actual platform plays, you have the actual worlds, you have actual tokens that facilitate some useful functions such as identity or a marketplace. And then you actually have the game companies themselves that are going in and hooking in Unity and kind of all the AI layers. So we're really starting to kind of have this early blossoming metaverse developer tool set adoption, knowledge that it's happening. And more eyes are starting to look at it, but that's going to happen for all of crypto across every industry. It's just kind of the lower friction state of the world. And so all these gaming, entertainment, musician industries, they're already looking at it. You have financial companies, they're already looking. Now VPNs, infrastructure, with supply chain, kind of all of these real world use cases, DNS, network routing, all these markets are starting to kind of be built in this decentralized way, so they're able to offer a better product that's cheaper in that you can buy right now and stake it and collect a value of what that business generates.
Yeah, my mind was blown when we talked with DressX, one of those startups that's doing augmented reality clothing, virtual reality clothing. And they came on and were wearing it on the show. But the question is, how's it going to work with everything else? And you like Luxo. That's another project that I think is kind of targeted to that space, the idea of NFTs, wearable fashion. I mean, how do they kind of look at kind of being the one that a lot of people build off of?
Yeah, so I think Luxo does one thing really, really well, which is kind of understand real world scarcity and are a kind of seamless bridge to bring those same concepts into an Ethereum based metaverse. And they do that via kind of identity. And so every organization, social token, kind of NFT has its own identity with it, and kind of access control and permissions and the kind of evolution of these primitives are built up from that kind of identity concept. And they have physical NFC tags, so kind of your real world clothings or items are going to be able to be kind of authenticated and verified on chain, and then they're just a protocol that kind of via ERC-725 and via the Ethereum ecosystem are going to be able to interop with all the other ones. So it's I can bring in a Gucci bag and wear that while I'm playing a video game. So kind of skins aren't necessarily always going to be purely sourced from within that one environment. Skins are going to be something that you might be able to bring to any game if it follows the standard interface. And so kind of getting the interfaces for the metaverse haven't been defined yet. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's why it's such a speculative early area where it's just there is these groundbreaking projects and innovations and apps and tokens that you can buy, but it's hard to know which ones are going to win. So how do you like make very concentrated bets on it?
Yeah, as you saw Mark Zuckerberg in that kind of Facebook Meta video floating around in his little meeting, you know that there's going to be a middle ground in between building this out, which is why, when you talk about products in the real world also being matched with maybe a virtual NFT that you can wear in a game or in the metaverse, it's kind of an interesting inching there before you're floating around in a conference room with a robot talking about meta stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I constantly hear people tell me it's like, hey, I'm too late. I missed crypto. It's like they missed buying a ton of Bitcoin, a ton of ETH, but it's like those, like the people keep innovating and keep building and releasing new things, and kind of people are porting over existing businesses and companies to exist and run on this kind of decentralized layer. And so it's not late. You're not late at all. Like we still don't even know. We still haven't even had like a domineering win in the smart contract race. Like there's so many L1s that are out there that are all competing. There's kind of EVM, post EVM, kind of tons of like the primitives. There's a bunch of decentralized derivatives, a bunch of lending markets. Like unclear where they're going to live. Like it's just kind of depends on what users want. And so going in and buying and interacting is literally, you get to influence kind of things that are successful.